Sorry about the wait. A little technical difficulties getting the camera rig set up, so we might not be able to project the machine, but when we get to that part of the talk, there's not a ton of people. Maybe we can just crowd around the machine or something and get a closer look. So my name is Jerry Stellenberg with Multimorphic. If you haven't heard of me or the company before, we are a company that's trying to bring new technology to pinball. We started about 5 years ago. We developed what's called the P-Rock board. It's a board that hobbyists and consumers can buy, stick it in their existing machine, like their WPC or their Stern machine, and program new rules for it. So we have customers that have taken existing machines. Cactus Canyon's a big example, where someone took our board, rewrote some of the existing rules for Cactus Canyon, extended the rules, made it a much more exciting, more polished game. And now other people are able to enjoy that too. Most of our software frameworks, our low-level drivers are open source. People can download, look at the code, understand what we're doing, and do their own thing. And sorry, I know the first 5 or 10 minutes of my talk is very low-level and technical. It's kind of boring, but usually I come to these seminars and I present slides and I show our products and I tell about our grand vision of bringing new technology to pinball and revolutionizing consumer-based pinball. And I talk about the machine and I say, this is what it's going to be someday. When it grows up, it's going to be really cool. Well, it's here, and I think it is really cool, and we'll demo it for you in a minute. But so in addition to our P-Rock board, we have driver boards, we have switch boards, we have all these little modular boards that we design so people who are interested in building pinball machines, whether they're hobbyists or corporations, big companies that want to build pinball machines, they don't have to reinvent the control system. 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago before we started, you couldn't go off the shelf and buy a control system for a pinball machine. If you wanted to build a machine, you had to do your own electronics. And some people did, and they built custom, transistor driver circuits, and they did everything themselves, and got an Arduino or a microcontroller to drive it. But there are only a few people in the world that really want to do all those little details. So we developed this board system. People can buy it. We have companies that are building machines now, corporations. Skidby is a big example with the Predator machine. They're using our board set. And it's something that they wouldn't want to do. They wouldn't want to build the electronics. That's something we're good at. Not something they're good at. They're good at designing machines and making a game fun and playable. So we do the low-level stuff. They do the fun stuff. And the end result is a machine that hopefully consumers can enjoy. Pretty much every company that started up in the last 10 years has talked to us about control systems. I say that we're kind of the company that made it possible for this resurgence to happen, because before Jersey Jack started, I think they were the first in this new wave of companies to start. You couldn't really build a machine. You had to re-engineer everything in the control system to do it. So we build these boards, companies starting up, they're building machines, but my problem with the machines that everybody else is building, as I insult the entire industry besides ourselves, is that everyone else in the industry is building what I call a traditional style machine. Think of the most popular or the most recently announced machines, and I can think of 4 or 5 right off the top of my head. Every single one of them that was recently announced or is about to be sold is either a 20-year-old theme, a machine that's being rebuilt, or it's a new machine that's being built with 20-year-old technology based on a theme from 20, 30, 40, 70 years ago. There is no new technology in pinball. No other company is putting new technology. The technology they're putting in are, RGB LEDs. So they can change the colors on the playfield a little bit. And some companies are starting to put in LCDs on their machines. So, big graphical displays instead of dot matrix displays. And they're putting it up in the back box like they've traditionally been, where the audience, people walking through an arcade, can see what's going on in the display and they can watch what's going on. They can't really see the playfield. But the player who's playing the machine, staring down at the flippers, he's not watching what's going on the display. So it's not really an ideal place for the display anyway. But that's what they're doing. They're taking displays, they're taking RGB LEDs, and that's new technology. That isn't going to compete with consumer electronic devices. Kids these days are playing with their parents' phones or iPads, or they're playing video games at home. They're playing high-tech games. Consumer electronics at the home is a high-tech thing. And if pinball machines are going to be successful in consumers' houses, they have to compete with other consumer devices. The other obvious problems with traditional pinball machines are they're big. Clearly, our machine's big too. They take up a lot of floor space and they're expensive. So figure for a new in-box machine, talk to any of the companies, they're selling their machines anywhere from $5,000 up to $10,000 or even $13,000 for some of the machines. So every time you want a new machine in your home, if you want a new in-box machine, you're paying $5,000 to $13,000. You're finding a spot for it, you're filling up your house with it, and it just doesn't scale in the consumer market. It's great for arcades. It's great for location-based. It's not good for consumers, and the pinball market is transitioning to consumers. It's growing year over year to consumers. The problem is that can't be sustained unless we address the issues. So that's what we've done. This is the P3 machine. You may have seen it online or videos that we put out recently. The idea of the P3 is it's a multi-game pinball platform. We're pinball people. We like physical pinball. We like the ball bouncing around, hitting targets, hitting physical things. We like real flippers and bumpers and ramps and loops and targets and magnets and all those things. But we've engineered it in such a way that we can change it. We can literally pull out part of this machine, switch it up, put a whole new shot layout in. So we're trying to address the floor space problem. If you buy a machine, you put one in your house or wherever you want to put it. It takes up one spot in your game room or living room or bedroom. Where do people put pinball machines now? Trey, you have one in your bathroom, right? Yeah, he's remodeling his bathroom to fit pinball machines in there. No, I'm just kidding, I made that up. But so there's the floor space problem and there's the price per game problem. 5 to 13K, you're buying the cabinet again, you're buying the flippers again, you're buying the legs again, you're buying the back box again. Why? You're only really playing one of those games at a time anyway. So let's take one cabinet, let's change up the game. Let's let people buy add-on games for, what, $1,000, $2,000, not $5,000 or $10,000 or $13,000. Let's just change it up and see if we can change this consumer paradigm of buying pinball machines. So with that in mind, I want to demo let's do some of the physical stuff first, just so you can kind of see what it is we're talking about when we say we can change this up. When we talk about multi-game stuff, the first thing people see from the outside, I'm going to get Les here to help me in a minute, the first thing people see, and what a lot of people really love about their pinball machines is the artwork. They want their artwork to look like something they enjoy looking at. They want people to come over and see cool stuff on their pinball machines. So a multi-game machine doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if it always looks the same way, unless we come out with some kind of generic, boring multi-game pinball machine white decal that's got some pattern on it that's boring. So, but we want game-specific themed artwork. So the first thing we designed was magnetic artwork. So we can literally just pull off the decal, grab a whole other decal set, and stick it on. And what's great about this is we can change what the game looks like. If we sell a new game, or if someone else sells a new game for the platform, you buy it, it comes with decals. You slap them on there, and now it looks like your new machine. The other thing is maintenance and serviceability. So one of the biggest problems with traditional machines for people who restore them and put them in their houses is working on the cabinet. To change a decal on a traditional style pinball machine, which is either screened onto the wood or it's a stick-on decal that doesn't really come off, it's a week or 2 week process in the garage after work every day to heat it up, to scrape it off, to sand it down, to bondo the cabinet, to do all that. To stick on a new decal, there are two methods a lot of people use. They call them the wet method and the dry method. You stick them on there, and half the time you get bubbles in there, you gotta work out. And if you can't get the bubbles out, then you have ugly bubbles on your decals for the rest of its life until you want to pull it into the garage and do it all again. But so magnetic decals literally cost, if you go to your local print shop, $100, $150 to get an entire set of decals printed for your machine. And what that means is, yeah, it's easy to replace. If they scratch, fade, if something happens to them, you just pull them off, go get new ones. But the other cool thing is you can customize your machine for your home. Steven's Arcade. Stick it on there on the side of your cabinet. Just whatever you want it to say. You can make it say it. If you have another idea for a game or for a different kind of artwork that you like with a specific machine, if you're a good artist, then go draw them, and you can even sell them too. And other people will buy them and stick them in their machine. So we got magnetic decals. We have these weird looking things on the side of the cabinet we call button boxes. And what's funny to me is not a single person who's come to play the game yet has commented about the button boxes, which to me means they feel like they should. And in fact, these buttons are more ergonomic than traditional buttons because you don't have to bend your fingers 180 degrees around to get to the buttons from the palm of your hand. But the real reason we put those on there is so we can change up the interface to the machine. We can pull off these button boxes and we can put on gun handles or steering handles, motorcycle handles, or something. We can change up. We can put joysticks on it. We can have a joystick coming out or a trackball coming out or any kind of button configuration. Anybody can develop a game for the system and change the interface to the game, which is unique, but it's necessary if you're changing up the platform. The other things we want to talk about are serviceability. So we can change up the way the game looks, we can change up the way the game plays, and we'll get into the playfield swap in a minute. But before we do that, people who are putting machines in their house, they don't want to service them, or they want servicing to be very easy. And so I posted a question on the forums a few weeks ago, and I asked people what are the most difficult things to service on a pinball machine. And one of the first ones people suggested was they hate rebuilding flippers. Right? You have to unscrew them, you have to pull them off, and then you have to do your adjustments or replace parts. You put them back on, you have to align them just the right way. You got to get the bolt screwed down right, or else if you don't, it slips the first time you flip it, and if you over tighten them, the bolt breaks in half, and it's just annoying. So Les is going to demonstrate how easy it is to swap flippers on our machine. And so, just like any traditional game, we can just lift our playfield up and slide it and put it, we call it in service position on the front panel. We have a front little door that we fold down, which gives us access to the things inside the machine. And then we can just literally pull the flippers out of the machine. So if, I don't know, if a rubber broke or if something happened, or if you just want to, maybe it got dirty, you just want to pull it off and clean it, you don't have to get your screwdrivers out, you don't have to, disassemble your machine, you just pull it off and clean it or replace it or whatever. We have, of course, a bunch of units. If you had this in your home, this machine in your home, and you don't want to ever do any repairs, you may have a backup set of flippers, or you may not. You may pull one out and fix it, or you might just pull one out, get ours, or you might pull one out, send it back to us, we'll send you a replacement unit, and you'll just stick it in there. Easy to replace. So that's the flippers. We'll set those aside for an instant, and let's talk about cleaning your playfield. So in a traditional game, does anybody here disassemble their machines to clean them? A bunch of people nodding their heads, yeah, one in the back. Whenever I clean my machines, my traditional machines at home, it's usually a couple-day process to disassemble the top side, make sure I put everything on the side right, so I remember how to assemble it when we get back together. And then you clean it, you wipe it down with Novus 2, or you wax it, do your thing, then you reassemble it. And that's really just to get all the grime that the ball tracks across the playfield off of the machine so it plays nice and clean and fast. So Les is going to do that entire process. He's going to disassemble the machine. Oh, wait, he's done. So our playfield is now out of the machine. That playfield is a piece of plastic that sits over top of the LCD monitor. And he's showing up, he's got a backup, a secondary piece of plastic that we could slide in there, brand new, be perfectly clear. And it literally takes, it took 2 seconds to pull it out and not much longer to put it back in. Before we put that back in, if you've seen the machine, you've seen our LCD monitor that we have in the front half of the playfield. The purpose of an LCD monitor in the front half is to give you all the display information you need right in front of your eyes when you're playing the machine. So that your score is in front of your eyes, the mode that needs to be played is right in front of your eyes. As things are happening, we can also dynamically change, of course, the artwork. We can have interactive modes where you shoot a shot and characters run around the screen or do whatever. But even more than that, the screen is essentially a touchscreen LCD monitor. So when the ball's rolling around the playfield, the ball can physically interact with the virtual elements that are on the screen. The ball can roll over. We used to have a demo with asteroids floating around. The ball would roll over the asteroids and blow them up. Now we have a couple modes where we have bubbles coming out of a swamp that you can roll over and pop them and then pick up the gas. Or we have a mode where we have a bunch of crates with parts inside of them. You roll the ball over the crates, it blows them up. And then some of the crates have parts in them. You can roll over those and pick them up. The point is that we can do things that no one's ever done in the lower half of the playfield before. And we're doing it with technology that's equivalent to what your kids are playing these days. It's what we all have in our pockets. We all have a phone with a touchscreen, and we're playing games, or we're texting each other, and that's just what we're used to these days. So we integrated that technology into the pinball machine. And we believe that people walking up to this machine can relate to it because it is what they're used to using at home. So this LCD monitor, just like the playfield surface, we're not going to pull it out, but just like the playfield surface and the flippers, it's on a rail system, and that LCD monitor literally just slides out of the machine. So maybe 5 years from now, we come out with a 4K ultra high def display. You slide this one out, slide the new one in, you're good to go. It's 2 cables, a power cable and a video cable, and you're done. So the other cool thing about the machine, of course, is that it's still physical pinball. And the back part of the playfield is literally a module that comes out of the game. So the module that's in there now is part of our Lexi Lightspeed game. It was designed by Dennis Nordman, and all the artwork was concepted based on some ideas he had. And that's our first game. So there's 2 parts to that. One is, how can we change it to be another game? And Les is going to demonstrate that now. So if we want to go, we buy a new game from Multimorphic or somebody else, some third parties developing and selling games. We get the machine, it comes with a playfield, it comes with the side art, and if Les is going to change it, he is literally going to unlatch 2 clips on the front of the playfield. And I realize you can't all see this, but you'll see it when he pulls the playfield out. It'll be pretty obvious what just happened. There's, I believe, 1 cable in the back. He's going to lift the thing right out of the machine. Oh, there's 2 cables in the back, and he only unplugged one of them. I'll get the second one. So the playfield's out of the machine. And there's 2 reasons to pull a playfield out of the machine. One is to put a new playfield in, which could be a whole different theme. Our second game that we're going to start developing right after we finish Lexi is Cosmic Kart Racing. It'll be a wholly different shot layout. It'll be very high-speed loops, fast-flowing ramps, a very high-speed game to contrast with this game. And that's it. But more important from a lot of your perspectives is serviceability. So to do something like, I don't know, replace a pop bumper on a traditional machine, you lift the playfield up, you punch over the machine, you do your thing, you either unscrew it or unsolder it. But you're doing it in this very bad ergonomic position, and it's a pain, and you need to get your soldering iron and bring it over to the machine, find a service outlet, and it takes a while to do, and it's annoying. And now you can just grab your playfield, take it to your workbench, and do the work where you're comfortable working. Your soldering iron should never have to leave your workbench. We want customers to never have to bring a soldering iron to the machine. If you need to replace a switch broke, traditional machine, you have to unsolder it. First you unscrew it from the playfield, then I don't know, is it unsolder or desolder? Desolder. Okay, so we're desoldering components. But the 2 wires that come from the switch are wired into a switch matrix. And so there's no way to take that cabling harness out of the machine. You have to desolder it. Well, all of our components have what we call pigtails, where you have 2 wires coming off of the switch, they go into a connector, and then that board that has those connectors feeds back to the main control system. So every single device on the machine, you can literally just unplug, unscrew from the playfield, and take it wherever you need to take it to desolder it at your workbench. Are there any things that I haven't talked about that you really hate about servicing a pinball machine? Pardon me? Bulbs, replacing light bulbs. So same deal. Instead of, hunching over the machine trying to get to the light bulb, you just One, you just pull out the playfield and you can do it in the leisure of your couch or whatever, but of course we're using LEDs these days anyway, so theoretically we shouldn't have to be replacing light bulbs anymore. In fact, all of our flashers, all of our insert lamps, all of the lights we have in the machine are either coming from the LCD or coming from LEDs. Our flashers are ultra bright LEDs and our insert lamps are just regular RGB LEDs. Check the time, I don't know how much time I have. Okay, thank you. Yeah, they're done.
How does Lexington hold up with the play ball? Do you think after a period of time it's
Question is, how well does the Lexington playfield surface hold up? And long term, I don't know yet. We haven't had it out in a while. What I do know is that games have been using plastic in their pinball machines for years and years. What Creature from the Black Lagoon has a piece of plastic over that hologram from years ago. Lexan's very durable. The problem with plastic is it is susceptible to scratching. So yes, it's susceptible. There's two things I want to address related to that though. One, we already showed you how easy it is to pull it out. We can clean it, we can polish it, we can do whatever. If it's scratched beyond repair, because we drop something on it or for some reason, yeah, we just go to the store, buy a piece of plastic. There's 2 notches in it right now. Either we'll cut them for you and ship them out, or you can cut them yourself. Very easy to replace. Try to do that on your existing machine. What happens if you scratch the wood? You hope Mirko's making a new playfield and you order one for $1,000 and you replace all the components. It's a legal process. The other thing about the plastic I was going to say, and then I forgot, is when the LCD is on, the colors, the brightness of that LCD shining through the playfield, you don't see scratches. This piece of plastic that is back in the machine now is actually our first piece of prototype plastic that has been scratched all over the place when we slide it in and we had bad, we were still working out the mechanicals. It's scratched all over and no one sees it when they're playing because the brightness of the LCD shines right through and you can't even tell. So the point is, yes, you can replace them easily, but you won't need to very often, if ever. Any other serviceability points you want me to address?
What solenoid are you using?
Sorry?
Solenoid.
What kind of solenoids are we using? We're using the same standard solenoids everybody else uses. We're making use of Williams-style thumper coils, and we're making use of mostly the 23-800 coils that are very common in the industry. Same coils. Again, remember that we're pigtailing them to connectors that can go to boards, so we can just pull out the whole assembly. We don't need to take the soldering iron to the machine. We take the machine basically to the soldering iron. Serviceability, anybody else? Have we hit every single annoying serviceability item in a pinball machine? If not, tell me what I missed.
Board repairs.
Sorry?
Board repairs.
Board repairs, good point. Traditional pinball machines have these big boards in the back box that have a lot of components on them that support a lot of features. When we designed our control system a long time ago, we designed it such that it's modular. So we have little tiny driver boards, 2.5 inch by 8 inch. We have the P-Rock board. We have switch boards. Les is showing it to you, and it looks pretty messy, so I wish he didn't do that. The reason it looks messy now is because we're experimenting. We're experimenting with this concept of pigtailing everything. If we weren't pigtailing everything on here, there would be 3 boards back there. Our first prototype had 3 boards, and that's when we did solder everything to the components, and you would have to take your soldering iron to the machine. This playfield has more PCBs. Those PCBs, we call them breakout boards. So there are connectors for every device, and then they chain back to the controller. But the thing about our control system, because it's small boards that are modular, you really don't ever have to do board repair. If you like doing board repair, you pull them out, you work on them, you stick them back in. If you don't, you take this little board out, it's $50, $60, $100 board. It's not a $300 or $400 board. You throw it away, or you send it to your repair guy. In the meantime, you get another board, you slap it in there. It's just a few connectors, and it takes literally, because you have easy access to the playfield, to the machine, it's a very quick process. So we talked about electronics, we talked about cleaning, we talked about servicing the modules, we talked about replacing decals, we talked about replacing the playfield insert, we talked about the shot layout. Anything else? No. All right, so what we were going to do next is, after Les reassembles the machine, which takes 2 minutes, we were going to project the game, and I was going to walk through the rules. And I'm still happy to do that, but unfortunately, since the projector's not working, or we don't have the right cables to connect to the projector, I'd like to invite y'all to come up, and we'll just kind of punch around the machine and we'll walk through it. Don't feel like you have to come up if you don't want to, but by all means. Yes, there's one question.
What's the price on the game?
What is the price? We're still working through the details. We're currently projecting a price of $10,000 for 2 games. We're going to ship the machine with 2 separate games that we're developing individually. So it's a $5K per game price value. We're not quite ready for production yet. It's probably going to be another 9 months or a year, but we're getting there.
You guys plan on doing
Question is, are we planning on doing any location testing yet? We're actually from Austin, Texas. We have a couple of big arcades down there. That'll let us get a good area full of, bars and clubs that are big into pinball. That we have a lot of locations we can do that from locally. And then at some point we'll have enough machines we can start sending around. But I guess I probably need to get in there for this. We're going to put the flippers back in and then we'll get it rolling. I apologize to those of you who don't want to come up or it's too crowded to see. We did have a camera rig. We had everything set up. I even emailed beforehand and said, can you support these cables? And of course, it didn't work out that way. That's a good point. Well, of course, we're set up in the game room. We'll be there for the next 2 days. So by all means, come by. We'll show you the serviceability in person in the booth, or feel free to come by and play the game. People were playing it all yesterday, and we'll have them playable all day today and tomorrow. So let's see if it actually powers up. And it is running a PC, so it takes... Do I still need the mic? Yes. Yes, keep using the mic because they're recording it. It is a PC, so it takes a few seconds to boot up.
Strange looking at you in front of me and then hearing you come from behind.
I am a ventriloquist now.
What do you use to clean it? Like screen or Windows?
You can just use Novus too, it's plastic. And any kind of plastic cleaner is fine. So it first boots up into what we call our launcher menu. If we had more than one game, there'd be games listed around here. Right now we have our game and we have a service menu kind of application. Just launch right into the game. And hope it runs and doesn't crash in front of everybody. That would be embarrassing. Actually, it wasn't a PC problem, but a mechanical problem with the saucer. Hopefully. When the game boots up, it's supposed to run through an unload sequence on the saucer just in case you power it off with ball still in there. And you'll notice we do have a little tiny LCD on the plate itself, which we'll use at some point to. It still didn't do the saucer. Hopefully the game runs. We're going to use that. We're going to integrate that. To me, it doesn't make sense to put physical devices on, like targets and things on a playfield that are assigned to or have graphics related to for specific games. They can't be changed. So pretty much everything that's theme-based on the machine can be changed. The LCD, of course, we can change the graphics and the modes and stuff that's going on. The little LCD on the top, we're going to implement one of our main modes where we're battling aliens on this little LCD, and we'll have status on there for what's going on. Yes, sometimes it's not coming to right.
I'm back. Don't worry, I hear it's easily serviceable.
Someone said it's easily serviceable. Let me just do the Microsoft solution. And this happens like once every 3 or 4 days. We have more things to work out for us. Somebody tell a joke.
You broke it, now you bought it.
You broke it, now you bought it. I pretty much already bought it. For a lot more than you're going to have to buy it.
Earlier you mentioned how easy it was to change the decals, and I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear how easy it is to change the decals?
Yeah, you mentioned that it's very easy, so for it.
It's so easy that I bet some random person standing next to the machine.
Is it all?
They're basically called car magnets. They're the exact same material they use for car magnets. The other thing I like about the machine, I really like the frame on it. So my machine is solid side. So it just provides a slightly different aesthetic. Did we implement drop targets?
Was that going to be hard to do?
Let me show you the targets we can do that and see if we can do that in a second. So we'll start the game now. So we start the game. It presents a scene on the LCD, which is, we call this our static playfield. We call it static because the buildings and stuff on there, the running the modes that we have aren't moving, they're not changing. Yes, we've overlaid inserts on them. What's interesting about our inserts is we can change the colors of them, we can change the text around them. No other game with their insert modes can we change what the text is defining the shots. So we can change what the shots mean. Right now it's saying start mode on the right, it's saying alien attack on the left rim. It says light lock on the two side targets. It's saying launch ball right in front of our eyes. A lot of people, when they're looking at the machine, there's a DMV up top that says launch the ball, but they never see it because they're trying to figure out what to do. We have that message right in front of your face. The other really cool thing that I think is cool is below the flippers, we have what we call it an apron LCD. It's an LCD, it's part of the main LCD, but it's right in the place where your apron functions. You can't see through that, it's just a piece of web load anyway. But we've taken our LCD, we've partitioned a part of it off, and that's where we put the score information. So the score, the player number, your status through the game is literally right in front of your eyes, because when you're playing the game, you're staring mostly at the flippers, and that's what your score is. So we launch a ball, I'm just going to play with my hand right now to show you what's going on. We have 3 modes developed right now. One's called Warehouse. When we hit the slower button on the right, it cycles through the available modes. The Warehouse, Shooting Range, and Swarm. We had a question about drop targets, so let me show you the Warehouse one. We shoot the right hole to start it. It zooms into the scene, and it pops up what we call a set of scoops and wall targets. And then it gives us instructions, on-screen instructions. It's going to tell us exactly what to do. It says shoot the crates, number no parts. It says there's a green door that goes to the next room, a red door that goes to the previous room, and then it starts. You can, of course, skip those instructions by hitting the flipper button at any time, so you don't have to wait for these long instructions to run. But now we have these 6 crates on the screen. We have the ball, and we have a door. That door is colored green. The scoop is green. And that indicates we can move to the next room. The objective of this mode is to break the boxes, which we'll do with the ball. The bottom box had a part in it. That's what we're trying to do. If you look at the LCD down here, most of you can see them. Those of you standing up close, we have little, empty icons. And as soon as we pick up the part, it fills in one of the icons. There's 4 more to get it, and eventually we'll get them all. We shoot the green door. It goes to the next room. It opens up the green door to the next room, and the red door to the previous room. Shoot the red door, it goes back to where we just were. So now we're going to go to the green door again. We can progress through these rooms. I'm just going to let them all trade, but it's just 4 rooms that are all the same. The boxes go into random positions. So the question is what's behind the green door? Okay, so there's random positions of the crates. We shoot them. The thing about the virtual targets is, in no other pinball machine will you ever intentionally try to shoot a target that is right next to the opposite slingshot target. These targets create infinite shot angles. So wherever the target is, you're going to shoot for it. And it might be at an angle that's unsafe, or you wouldn't have to do anything. So again, parts, now we have 3 parts. Now I'm going to let the ball drain. We lost the ball. Turning the volume down. The question was, how do we figure out where the ball is at all times? We have an infrared grid running over top of the screen. It's one of the reasons, it's one of 2 reasons why all of our flippers and slingshots and side targets are floating above the surface of the screen. There's nothing, you can literally slide a towel in there to clean it down, go slide your finger in there, there's nothing in there. Okay, so we're on ball 2. We know we're on ball 2 because the apron LCD right in front of our face says so. We launch So this game, it's kind of similar in nature to the Cities and Attack from Mars or Castles of Medieval Madness, where we need to progress through 6 or 7 different aliens before you complete that mode. I should address, at the very front on the different LCD, there are icons for each mode. Just like there are typically insert lamps in a game that tell you how you're progressing towards the finale. We have icons here too. They're all blank right now, as random fingers push random switches and play the other things happen. But eventually these things will fill in as things happen as we complete objectives in the game. So we started the mode, we started the alien attack. Let's talk about multi-ball, because that's one of the coolest features of the machine, is that 8-ball physical ball lock that we have. Right now we have these side target banks that if we hit them once, we hit each side once. And notice those actually don't have switches in them, they're really just light blocks. Because we know where the ball is at all times, we know when it hits those switches, we know what direction the ball's coming from, so we know not to activate them when the ball's just rolling down the front or whatever. So now it says lock lit on the playfield. See, it says lock ball 1. Again, because we have the LCD, we can literally label the ball number of every lock shot that we need to hit. We lock it, the sponsor grabs it, the animation on the screen, and now that lock lit changed from yellow to blue. Now it's blue and it says 2-ball multi-ball. If we shot it again, it would start at 2-ball multi-ball. Or we can get greedy. We can say we want a lot more balls. So we light lock again. We try to light lock again. Now it says lock ball 2. So there's already a ball in there. Shoot again. Lock ball 2. Give another ball. So now we can start a 3-ball multi-ball. It says on the screen, or we can try to lock more balls. We're not going to lock 8 balls. That's 8 all day.
So it's an 8-ball game? Do you have 8 balls in the game?
We'll do that again in 5 minutes. We start a 3-ball multi-ball. It starts the ball save. By the way, one of the coolest features I think of the machine is what happens when we drain a ball while ball save is on. Because we have the LCD right where the drain is, we can actually show animations of the ball coming right from where it drained, going back up the screen and being relaunched as if it were really saved by that LED. We just spin it back up. So
Got it up.
we have a projector. It's not very easy to see. Let's stay here until they figure out the colors. But, okay, so we have multi-ball started, we shoot jackpot shots, and we get this huge display on the playfield itself, giving you a jackpot award. We'll let 2 balls very good. Multi-balls will come. Then we got 1 jackpot, because we're not very good. Then we're back to the main mode. Alien attack is lit, start mode is lit, light lock is lit again. Now you'll notice that it's harder to light locks. Now we have to hit both sides. The 8 switches on the sides are now, yes, the gentleman's trying to hit the switch, which isn't actually a switch because it knows where the ball is. There you go. So your finger was the ball and so now it's just hard to light lock. So that risk reward of how many balls should we lock before we start multi-ball? Well, if we want it to be easy to light lock again, we want to do that a lot on the first multi-ball because it gets harder on the second multi-ball. On the third multi-ball, because there are 8 switches, you have to hit each one individually, so it gets even harder to light lock again. Anyone know how much time it is?
10 minutes?
10 minutes, thank you. So we'll wrap this up pretty quick so we can ask some questions. I know we started a little late too, so hopefully we can run over a few minutes.
What do you do when you beat? Do you have a high score to beat?
Do we have high scoring? We haven't implemented high scoring yet. The software itself is about 50% done. There's still a long way to go. We need a lot more implemented. We have more modes planned, more animations planned. We don't have any voice calls yet. We'll have a whole array of voice calls and more sound effects and everything else. Let's just show you one more mode. Actually, 2 more modes. So we have these white LEDs at the top of the playfield that we call spotlights or searchlights. And if we hit every one of those twice, it works. You can actually see the glass shatter on the screen as the spotlights are shot out. And now we got our searchlights knocked out. Actually, that icon lit down on the screen, so we're progressing towards wizard mode. And now we have a lights out mode here. Lights out is only lit on the ball that you lighted. So if you drain the ball now, you'll never be able to do lights out again during this game. You shoot lights out now, there's a multi-ball mode. And there are those lights pre-lit. The government facility, I guess, fixed the lights that you just knocked out, but the rest of the facility's out. And we have these spotlights running on the screen. If we shoot those spotlights again, do them one by one slowly. Every time you hit one of these spotlights on the screen does the last one, it's going to start a second stage of multi-ball, which plays it kicks out another ball, so now it's a 4-ball multi-ball. If we had already drained 1 ball, we would have had 2 without 2 more. The ball stays still on. Now there's kind of like a siren light pattern running on the screen. The facilities, alert that you're trying to shoot out its lights and things. So, and now every single shot on the playfield is a jackpot. So the idea really is we probably want to shoot the top uppers or something and just have it give us, we got 1 hit on the top upper, nice job. So every single shot you can see the jackpot just going up the screen, you're racking up score on that. Okay, so we'll drain this. We drained 3 balls, we still have 1 in my hand, and that's it. So there's a couple more modes. I'll probably end it there. We can start addressing some questions people have. I forget the question that I was supposed to ask.
8-ball multi-ball.
8-ball multi. Do y'all want to maybe go back to your seats and I'll address your together? We can get questions and stuff. I'll address their balls question. So there's a question about how many balls the machine has, and there's a question about how the ball trough is configured to serve these balls, because all the balls are coming from the back of the machine. So right when they got the camera quasi-working, we stopped talking about the machine itself. Okay, so how many balls are in the machine? The way we have our trough, our ball trough configured, it's in the back of the machine. It's an 8-ball ball trough, but it's fed by a feed system that starts all the way in the front of the game, and balls drain and roll all the way back to that trough. So we have a single ball trough in the back, but we can literally stage balls all the way from that trough up to the front of the game. The game can hold 40 balls. Why would you ever want 40 balls in a pinball machine? I don't know, maybe just to break a world record or something. I don't know. But right now we have 9 balls in it just because the 8-ball ball arc can hold 8, and you'd still want another ball rolling around the playfield to start it. When I was testing this back at our office, I had 15 balls in there. When we took it down when we disassembled it to put it in the truck to bring it up here, I unloaded 15 balls. I kind of want to ship a game with at least 14 just to break that other record, that game that has 13 balls. And by the way, that other game that has 13 balls, the multi-ball is no fun because it just drops 8 balls right onto the flipper all at the same time. Our 8-ball ball lock, because of the way it rotates and drops balls out, it stages each ball as it's coming to the flipper. So you can actually play a real 8-ball multi-ball and have a chance of shooting 8 jackpots right off the bat, which probably should be worth some big award if you can hit 8 jackpots in a row when it gives you the balls. So unlimited number of balls, not unlimited, but within reason. And the reason for that is because we don't know what games people are going to want to develop and how many balls their games will need to support. So if we have a ball trough that can support any number of balls, then it should be no big deal. The way the game tracks balls, it counts a ball as it goes onto the playfield, and it decrements the counter as a ball goes off the playfield. So it doesn't care how many balls are actually in the system. You can play the game with 3 balls, or you can play with 20 balls. It'll still behave the same way. Questions about anything, about the rules, about the machine, about our plans as a company, about some things we didn't address earlier?
I'd love to hear more about your plans in the company as far as raising money and you see as the next 3, 4, 5 years.
Question is, what are our plans in the next 3 to 5 years? How are we going to finance the company? There's a hat at the door as you walk out of the room. It should be probably a huge bucket, a 50-gallon container. We are a self-funded company. We have a couple of seed funders who helped us get off the ground, who helped us build our prototypes. Most of us are working for free and or in our spare time. I'm working full-time. We have employees, a couple employees that are also full-time, and a couple people that are helping us what we call spare time. So after their day jobs or on the weekends, they're helping us. We've come a long way. We've come from our concept. We have a playable machine now that looks like it could go to production at some point. It still takes, it takes time and money to finish that development. The biggest challenge is it's a fully re-engineered machine. This isn't a piece of plywood we stuck in a machine in an existing wooden cabinet. Everything's re-engineered. The ball troughs are re-engineered. Everything's re-engineered. So we have to make sure that these things are manufacturable and long-term reliable. And it takes some time and money to do that. We believe if we were fully funded today, which we're not asking to be funded with customer pre-order money, we refuse to fund the company with pre-order money. We won't do it. I don't want to put customer money at risk. So yes, we do have pre-order customers, We're using that money to incentivize or to de-risk investors. Mr. Investor, we have X number of pre-orders, we have X number of dollars already in the bank, therefore your risk in investing in our company is less because we already have some guaranteed revenue when we turn on production. We are looking to raise some money. We believe if we had money today, we'd be shipping games in 9 months. If we don't get that money today, of course, it'll take longer.
What are the rules of pre-order? What are the rules required for pre-order?
The question is, what are the terms of the pre-order agreement? Right now, we're selling the pre-order for $99.95, almost $10K. We're guaranteeing it comes with 2 games, Lexi Lightspeed and our second game, Cosmic Kart Racing. So it's $5K per game, which we believe is better than most other, new games coming in box today. We have a payment schedule. We're in the middle of that payment schedule now, so if you were to pre-order right now, we'd ask you to catch up to that schedule. But again, your money is safe, it's in a bank account. If you want to cancel at any time, we'll give you all your money back. But like I said, we're just using it to de-risk for investors. And of course, the more pre-orders we can get, if we could get 200 pre-orders, we would go to investors and say, listen, we're done. Or at that point, we might even go to the customers and say, listen, do you want us to turn on, to take your money and go fund the company and operations and all that? But yeah, it's a process.
How long is the schedule?
How long is the schedule?
Yeah, so is the schedule out for the remainder of the payments over a year?
The payment schedule right now is set up to end in, I believe it's August or September of this year. But the final payment is not due until we're ready to ship your machine. So I think it's about 75% prepaid, and then the last 25% is when we're ready to ship. Questions? There are more questions, I'm sure.
How many players can you have?
Yes, you're first. I'll get you in a minute.
I know it's dependent upon investment, but do you have a target for, given your current level of investment, do you have a target for when the game goes, when it's ready?
Question is, yes, it's dependent on getting investors, but when do we expect the game to be ready? And I believe if we got that money today, 9 months from now, we'd be shipping machines. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. Are you expecting that money today?
Am I expecting that money today? We actually have brought in 4 or 5 potential investors to see the machine today. We've talked to a lot of people who are interested in helping, but you never know. Until you get a check, you never know. But what we're doing is we're offering company equity in response to that investment. So, we're a C Corp, we're offering shares of the company. We're hoping to build a company that evolutionizes, if not revolutionizes, pinball. We're applying new technology. We're trying to do things in a different way. Our manufacturing techniques are new and updated to current standards. We're not building machines like they used to build them 30 years ago. We're not building our own factory. We're making use of contract labor and people that are used to being paid to assemble things and test things and ship things. So we're building the company in a different way. We're building it the way a company we believe should be built in this day and age. And we're doing it with technology that should be in the machines this day and age. So there's definitely interest, but you never know. And if we don't get the money today, no problem. We'll just keep doing what we do. We'll keep progressing, and we'll get there. Just don't know how long it'll take exactly. Good question.
How many players can play on it?
How many players can play on it? So I started implementing, I wanted more than 4, just for the sake of having more than 4. And as soon as I put more than 4 players in the game, it started to take 3 columns up on the LCD, on the apron LCD we call it. And I said, as soon as I have 3 columns, let me just fill up those 3 columns. So it's just a number in my code. You can say, what's the max number of players I should allow? And right now it's set to 9. 9. If anyone ever pushes the start button 9 times, then they better get ready to go take a nap before it's their turn to play again. It's probably an arbitrarily stupid number just because you'll never be able to play that many really and have fun. But it doesn't matter. You didn't see the end of the game, but if you're playing a multiplayer game, after the game ends, all the player scores are tallied in a table, and it identifies who's the first player, who's the last. It ranks all the players according to their score. So as soon as the game's over, you can quickly see who won. You don't have to try to compare numbers against each other and figure out who had the highest score. It tells you. Just a little feature because it's easy to do. I assume I'm just about out of time. Let's ask for another question or two, and then call it. Yes. do we have the ability to connect two machines together or more than two machines together to play head-to-head or in group kind of gaming configurations? We have plans to do that, yes. Our second game is Cosmic Kart Racing, which by definition, kart racing games are typically, I guess not by definition, but they're typically, networked together and you're racing against other people, whether they're in the same house or different parts of the country or world. Our game is network connected. We intend to do, online statistics tracking, online service schedules, and updating a database with your statistics as players, your statistics as the game, and of course we've talked about plans to network that game specifically together. So Cosmic Kart Racing, you'll be able to log into the game, you'll install it, you'll turn it on, you'll run the application, you'll log in as your driver ID, and then you'll have the option to connect to other machines around the country, around the world, or just in your house if you have more than one machine. It'd be really neat for me to see 4 of these machines lined up, each highlight in a different color with the LEDs, and you're assigned a different color, and that color is your card as you're racing, and you're literally racing against each other. We'll get into the rules in CCR another day, but yes, we absolutely have plans to network games together, both in a competitive and in a cooperative mode. It'll be neat someday to have games where you can progress through certain shots, and maybe you have someone else connected to you playing on a different machine, and they have to do certain shots, and you kind of work together to progress through a sequence of rules. Yes, last question.
If you're playing with somebody remotely, have you thought about the capability to have voice over IP so you can talk to the player that you're playing?
The question is, are we considering some kind of way of letting people physically talk to each other using microphones and voiceover or whatever? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe. I think we need another question. We still need another question. One more question, please.
Do you want to talk about protecting your artwork and publication?
Question is, because the artwork is easily removable, can we protect it on a location-based environment from people just grabbing it and walking away with it? It's a great question. A lot of people ask it. Yes, we will have a trim package that we make available with the machine. If you install the trim package, it will cover the edges of all the decals, all the way around the decal, and you won't have access to the edges, you won't be able to peel it off. So yes, we do have that protection. So thank you all for coming. I apologize again for the technical details. Thanks for sharing this close quarter experience with me. And again, we're in the showroom. Please come by, and I'm always happy to talk about P-Rock, to talk about P3, to talk about the company, to talk about pinball in general. So thank you very much.